All right, we have some exciting updates to show you, and we'll go through those fairly quickly. So let's start with looking at our sales screen. And I'm just going to pull up a receipt. Show the last sales receipt. And you'll now see a new icon here, this little arrow. This arrow will export your receipt right to a PDF file, and it works great. So you'll see that it will download that file, and then you can open it up and you can use that to email your customer really quick, or if you just need a PDF copy of that, that works both in the sales screen and in the receiving screen. All right, the next quick update that I want to show you is actually in the reports area. So when you go into reports, you can actually pull up any report, and we'll just go ahead and I'll pull up a sales report. I'll just choose my summary report. Just do a sales report for today. And you'll now see over here in the reports, there's actually a little gear icon. That allows me to customize what fields show up in the report. So for example, if I want to hide the sales per period, per time period, I can do that. Put it back, and it will remember your preferences. So this really helps if you're exporting reports to Excel and you wanted to limit what is on that report, you can easily do that. So that's any report in the system, just look for that gearbox. All right, so speaking of reports, we added one new custom report. So there was already a detailed sales search report. We now added a detailed purchase order and receiving search report. So instead of the sales information, this will actually pull receiving information. So this report, you can choose the date range, your location. You can also specify only to show items that are matched in the purchase order and receiving. And you can go in and select any criteria. If you're looking for a particular serial number, as far as the receiving history, if you're looking for the supplier name, all of these criteria, you can basically build a formula here and then output the report. So this is a nice custom report for the receiving, very similar again to the custom sales report. Also, within the reports, if you are using our bound book module, we did modify that report and we added some new criteria to it, so you can actually specify not just whether it's acquired or disposed. You can actually choose to only show records that were disposed directly in the bound books. So that's for any transfers that you did. So any transaction that was not done through the sales screen, but it was disposed directly through the bound book, you can actually just check that box and your report would only show you those transactions. So that's a good enhancement for the bound book report. And finally, if we look at the sales report, sales tax report, under taxes, there was a bug that was not showing all the tax groups properly, but now we actually show the different tax groups. So for example, I've got a food tax here, and I've got just another tax for Texas. So this was just done as an example. In this case, I charge 6% for food and 8% for everything else, so it will break down the report properly. Now, if you want the report broken by group, you want to make sure that in your store configuration, you set up those tax groups properly. Again, I can go to the store configuration, jump to my taxes, and you'll see this is where I have these taxes set up. Now, what's important is make sure you specify a different tax name, because that tax name, not the group name, the tax name is what's going to be used to separate that report out. So make sure you specify a different tax name. Again, this is only if you have to charge different tax rates for different types of items. All right, next, let's jump right back to our item screen and talk about a new enhancement called item modifiers. So item modifiers allow you to essentially add services to an item. In the restaurant business, modifiers can be, I want double tomatoes and double onions, extra ketchup, that's considered a modifier. But for regular retail, a modifier can be something like if you wanted to offer engraving or a warranty on an item. Those are things that basically will modify the price of the item at the time that you're selling it. So how do you set up these modifiers? Well, there's a new menu option, and it's called Manage Modifiers. And I already have one set up, so we'll just go into that one. You can add a new one if you want to by just clicking Add Modifier. But if I just go and edit the one that I have, you'll see I called it Custom Engraving. And the items for this modifier, I can have as many as I want. So in this case, I set up 1-line engraving, and the cost is $5, selling price is $10, and then I set up a 2-line engraving. And again, I can add a 3-line engraving if I wanted to, or any number that I want to create. So in this case, I'll say this is $12.50 cost, and I'm going to charge $24.95. All right, so now I have, within the engraving modifier group, I have 3 different choices. So now the next step is, once you define your modifiers, you need to associate the modifier to an item, or you can do it to multiple items. Again, you've got to set it up item by item. So I just chose this particular folding knife. I'll go into my variations screen, and when I click the variations tab, at the bottom I have a choice called modifiers. So this is where I can specify this modifier, and I can hit save, and then I can return to the items, and let me just copy this UPC code, and I'll show you exactly how it works within a sale. So I'll just click the sales screen, and you'll notice immediately that when I pull that item up, the first line now says modifiers. I can edit and choose what modifiers the customer is interested in. I can choose one or more. It's not necessarily limited to just one choice of a modifier. In this case, obviously one choice makes sense. So maybe I want to choose my 2-line engraving, and I'll submit. Now, since this is engraving, I can take advantage of the notes field and actually type in the message that I want engraved. And I'll hit save. And you'll notice that the base price of the item is $14.99, but I'm adding $17.50 for custom engraving. So here's my new total, and I can go ahead and complete that transaction. Hit OK, and you'll see literally right on the receipt, I'm showing exactly what was selected in terms of the engraving. So I have a $17.50 upcharge. So that's what item modifiers are. They're really powerful. Next, I'm actually going to jump right into our bound book module. If you are using the bound book module, track your serialized firearms, there's a couple of enhancements here to talk about. So you'll notice here in the serial count, what we did was we actually enhanced the count and did a couple of things. Now, in one of the previous updates, we added the ability to merge multiple counts together. The purpose of that is if you have multiple people counting, you actually have the opportunity to merge those counts together, and that way multiple people can all be counting at once, and then it gets merged into a single count. So that's one feature I'll just point out again, that was already in the system. But within a count, whether I start a new count or I continue an existing count, the nice thing is we now have a clear message showing me how many items, how many serial numbers I've counted, and how many serial numbers I have remaining to be counted. So in this case, if I go ahead and scan another serial number, actually, even if I delete, I don't know how empty line got there, but I'll delete that one. So now I have one counted, so I have 73 remaining to count. So I'll go ahead and count another serial number. And again, I can count another one, and you'll see that the count goes up and the remaining goes down. So I can very clearly, especially if I'm using a handheld to go around the store, I can clearly see how much work I have left, how many firearms I haven't counted. So this is a really great feature. All right, a couple of other quick features within the bound book count. We now can export to Excel, so you can import a count, but you can also export this count if you want to export it to Excel. And when I go to the serial numbers that are in stock but not counted, I can actually export that list to Excel as well. So if for some reason you need to bring that into Excel so you can do some more research, or if you want to print it out, you have that ability to do both printout of the serial numbers that were not counted, but also you can export the serial number listing that was counted. So that's another powerful feature. All right, so the next topic I want to talk about is deliveries. So deliveries, any sale transaction that you mark as a delivery ends up in this delivery dashboard. But in addition, all of your internet orders that are coming in, if you are integrated into the website of your choice, all orders coming from the internet will end up showing up as deliveries. They're suspended transactions. So we added a couple of features. When you highlight any particular order or multiple orders, I can go ahead and complete these orders, which will take them out of suspended mode, and it will mark them as completed transactions, which means they will show up in your sales reports. Now, there's two choices. I can complete but not update my inventory, right? So for any orders that are being drop shipped by a third party, you can actually tell the system, okay, take that order since it's drop shipped, don't update my inventory. And then for any orders that you are shipping, you can do one of two things. You can go through and edit that order like before, and you can go into the items and indicate, what you're shipping. And you can even create shipping labels. That's a whole other video, but you can complete the transaction through this screen order by order. But if you don't want to do it that way, you also have the ability to mark multiple orders. And again, I wouldn't mark a shipped order, so I would just highlight the ones that haven't been shipped. So I'll go ahead and choose these 3, let's say, and I can say complete and update inventory. And that will actually go ahead and update your local inventory so that it reduces your quantity of what was ordered, and it will also complete the order so it's no longer a suspended transaction. So that's some good enhancements that were done for the delivery screens. And one last feature on the delivery screens is within the actual delivery, if I go to my delivery order, if this was a pickup, I actually can change the location of the pickup. So it will default to the pickup location that was selected during the website order. Again, if it's a location that's set up as an inventory location, you can actually choose what location, you can change the location where the pickup is taking place. All right, I'm going to hop back to items real quick because there is one good enhancement if you do use the import item capability. So within the item screen, you can go in and do an Excel import. We did provide a new feature that you can choose what to do when there are duplicates. So you can choose, by default, it will error if it sees a duplicate UPC or duplicate product ID. But you can also skip a duplicate, or you can sum the duplicate quantities. That's really powerful because if for some reason you're importing a spreadsheet that has a UPC code listed 3 times and each one has a different quantity, that last option will take those quantities, combine them, sum them up, and that's what it will import into coreSTORE item screen, assuming you have a quantity column. So that's a new enhancement for the item imports. All right, and last but not least, we live dangerously, so we're giving a preview of what will be our work order dashboard. Again, this is work in progress, so letting everyone know that it's not fully baked, but this will be an area where you can work on your work orders. Again, if you do repairs or if you do any type of service, you can enter a work order through the sales screen. So when you're in the sales screen, I can choose from my drop list, I can choose work order, and I can choose the item that's being repaired. So in this case, I'll go ahead and repair this particular firearm. You'll notice it comes in at defaulting to a 0 price because it's an item that I'm going to be doing work on. I can put notes in, so trigger problem Getting stuck. All right, I put in some notes. And again, of course, I have to choose who the customer is that brought in this particular item for service. So I'll go ahead and save that work order. Now, I gleaned over it pretty quick, but just to go back to my notes. So I added some notes, but I should also point out that notes can be marked as internal, so they won't print on the work order. And you can also drag and drop pictures. So if you want to take a picture of the item so that the customer can see that this is the condition that they brought it in with, you can actually drag and drop pictures there. You'd use an external camera and then just take the pictures and drag them right into this box. So that's how you enter a particular work order. And then you can take payment. If you're going to charge a service fee up front just to look at the item, you can set that up as a non-stock item if you wanted to. In this case, again, I have a $0 work order so far. I can save that work order. It will go in as a suspended transaction. You'll notice that it prints a work order, prints the work order out. It has the notes showing up here, has the item information. And now what I can do is I can actually unsuspend this transaction, add labor or any parts to it, and complete the transaction. So you can do all that within the sales screen. But what we're also working on is the ability to have a list of work orders. Again, we're still working on this. If I want to show you a quick preview, but this will be the area where you can actually see all your work orders listed, and you can also specify some additional parts. You'll be able to modify the work order, and you'll be able to see statuses of the work order. So that will be a nice enhancement that's coming within the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. Thanks for watching this video, and let us know if you have any questions, suggestions, or need any help with coreSTORE. Have a great day.